What is up, you amazing people? It's Nima here, and we are at episode 2 of Is That Infected? What the hell's that? That's the name of the show. And unfortunately, I received 0 suggestions for a new name for this show. So, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take suggestions, and if I pick your suggestion, I'll give you a $10 eShop card to anywhere. PlayStation, Microsoft, OnlyFans, whatever you want. $10 eShop card headed your way if I pick your suggestion. What I'll do, I'll write down all the names, creating a list, if you will. And since it's really important, I'll make sure not to lose the list because they're really important names, right? Anyway, we got 2 games we're looking at this week. The first one we're going to start off with is a game called Against the Storm. This is a simulation world builder type game. Most of the game and the game mechanics is something that we've experienced before if you are familiar with that type of like SimCity resource management type game, where you are sent out into the woods and on behalf of a queen, you are supposed to establish a somewhat stable society and in fact grow it a little bit. And while a lot of traditional things are in this game, such as building shelters or farms or even ale houses, the one thing that I think is really interesting is your village, town, at some point city will really thrive with a lot of diversity. And what I mean by that is you have humans, lizards, and beavers. Those are the ones that you start off with. And as you start building your town, you'll notice that some of the infrastructure is really more meant for certain species. A good example of this would be like anything lumber, whether it be like a sawmill or tree cutting. It'll be very beneficial for you to put the beaver species in those jobs. After you build any infrastructure, it will not be functional until you assign jobs. So you have to actually click on the building and then manually assign jobs. And it is so much more beneficial for you in the city or town if you assign the proper species to the proper job. Like I said before, beavers, anything with lumber, humans are really good at like farming and harvesting and foraging. You can kind of find where each species has their niche and where that'll really help you as far as how efficient they are, what your yield will be like. All of those things go into it. And while it is important to pay attention to those kind of things, you will also be given some directives by the queen. And as you follow her directives, her guidance essentially, which will kind of do a little bit of hand holding for you, it will also give you a lot of rewards. And of course, in some instances, it'll literally be a roadblock that if you do not do one of her requests, she won't give you like a blueprint or something for a building you're going to absolutely need to move forward. Although what is potentially the biggest mechanic of this game is a giant storm that rolls through every so often. I don't know, it's about every 10 minutes it feels like. And it essentially will destroy some of your infrastructure. It hurts population, can actually kill some people. It's really just a heavy lightning storm is what it shows like, but it does do quite a bit of damage and the storm builds up over time. It's not the only threat you have to worry about in the game because as you expand your borders, there will be other elemental things you have to worry about as well as just some enemies that you run into. And there's not a lot of combat in this game regarding that, but there is a significant amount of obstacles you have to overcome. Do you remember when I said you have to manually assign your workers to each facility? Well, you really should, because that was only like 2 minutes ago, and if not, you might want to get some help. But seriously, that's not the only thing you really have to do, and it is probably the biggest issue I had with the game. One of the things you have to do is actually decide what task that building is working on. And while that is kind of a cool concept, and I'm glad that there is a little bit more complexity to the game, they don't tell you that. Like, when I first played through, I was stuck for the longest time until I just kind of tinkered around and found out, oh, that's what I need to do. But that's not the only thing that happens in this game. You see, that sort of situation happens quite a bit where you will need to do something or you will need to interact with something in just the right way or you'll be kind of up against a blockade. Now, personally, I think that this is a me problem. I think I'm really more into like babies first, sim world type game. Like, I'm just not that great at these games. I want to like these games, I really do. And every time I play one of them, I'm always like, man, I wish this was more like Civilization, which I understand is like the very simplest form of these sort of games. And Against the Storm is sort of like a mid tier game. It's not exactly the most complex or anything like that, but it is a step up from like Civilization. And I do believe like if you're a fan of these type of games, you're really gonna enjoy this game. I found almost no issues with it. It's a really fun experience for people who like that. For me, I think I sort of learned a lesson about all these kind of games, and it's just not my cup of tea. Although, if you do like these kind of games, I would definitely advise picking it up. I think it's a really solid game for the price, and really has a good amount of content. Okay, so the next game, or the last game we're gonna look at, is a game called Bad End Theater. Now, this is one I have to be really careful with because, for one, it sounds really simplistic, but it's actually really fun. The way it works out is you have four characters and you get to choose what they do. Obviously, in any game, you sort of choose what the character does, but I mean, your interactions with this game are just that. They're just choices that you make for each character, but on different runs. So, this is sort of like a choose your own adventure rogues-like style type game where you're just unlocking different endings. Like, even if you choose one of the worst ones, it's still something that you're unlocking. There's 41 total endings to unlock, and honestly, I get to have a lot of fun like trying to guess what would be the best move, figuring out the butterfly effect, if you will, while trying to piece different characters in different places and see if like, oh, maybe if this character is actually really bad, that might help in the end. And to be honest, you actually have a very limited amount of choices, but when playing as all four characters in different runs, of course, it really does add up to a lot of options. But essentially, the story goes like this. There is a hero in a town, and this town is built right next to like a big evil castle. The maiden disappears, they don't know where she's at. So as the hero, you go looking for her, and you head straight to that evil castle. Now, there's interactions that you can have with the minions along the way. For example, you can either just rush in and just chop them to bits, or you can talk to them or be diplomatic. It always gives you like two options to choose. Kind of seems like the good and the bad option, but those really blur as the game goes on. But you essentially do run into the witch, and you will see that, hey, the princess is there, or the maiden is there. And this whole script replays over and over with basically the same things happening, although the different choices that you make from all four different perspectives will give you maybe a little bit of a glimpse to something else that happens, or push the narrative a little bit further, and until you finally unlock all 41 endings. And it's really more of a puzzle game than it is like an interactive novel, if that makes sense. But I had a lot of fun with it. It's $10. I think this is a game that I think most people might be interested in if it goes on sale. So I know $10 is a little rich for some people's blood, considering it is really just like a roguelike puzzle game that has, I would say, limited replay value. Like after you do the 41 endings, which sounds like that would take forever, it really wouldn't. Just like in a 30-minute sitting, I unlocked like 8 or 9. So I would definitely say that this game does have like a limited amount of content, but especially if it's on sale, it'd be a real fun one just to sit back and just kind of try to figure out the puzzle yourself. But anyway, those are the two semi-random games I picked off the eShop that might be good. And honestly, I think both of them definitely have potential. Like, I don't feel bad about my purchases. They weren't exactly my cup of tea, or maybe a little overpriced, but it could have done worse with that amount of money. Anyway, that's just two of those games. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Are these games you're interested in? Are there ones you've played? Give me your suggestion for this little series that I'm doing. I actually have one in mind as I was doing the recording of this, but I think it actually would be a pretty good name, but I'm not going to use it because I already recorded that I would give a gift card away for somebody who chooses a really good name. So yeah, go ahead and put those suggestions down below. And I guess if you don't, then I'll just go with the one I have in my head. But anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out and checking these games out with me. Anyway, take care everyone. Love each and every one of you. Bye-bye.